Hey guys, what's up? It's Johnny here, and welcome to another episode of the SIC Show. Oh man, that was croaky.
Yeah.
And I'm here with my main man B. How are you, buddy?
Man, I'm getting a little bit warmer now in the studio.
It's good, man.
It's awesome.
We're sitting on a heater.
Yeah, we are.
Now, this week on the show, we're going to give you a little sneak peek behind the scenes of how we created the studio here for the SIC Show.
Yeah, and I'm going to inspire you with one of the images from our new local surf spot. And then I'm going to teach you the 7 most common mistakes when it comes to photographing portraits and composition.
Wicked, man. Let's get into it.
Enjoy.
The SIC Show. Share, inspire, create.com. Share.
So guys, as you probably well know from the last couple of shows, we are in our new studio, and we thought the share this week we'd give you a sneak peek of behind the scenes and how our setup is.
All right, so I'm going to unplug from this and then I'll plug into that, right?
Straight in, buddy.
Just so that oops. That's it. All right.
That's it.
Okay,
All right.
So Johnny's phone. We'll start it. Audio's good. Okay, so here we are, guys. Here's Johnny.
What's up?
All right, this is our desk.
The desk. Look under the desk.
You don't want to look under.
Man.
You don't want to look under the desk. There's coffee and all sorts of things over there. So
oh man,
that's it, guys. And then we got the camera over here, which is
check out the rig, man. So we're actually in Brent's garage, huh? So a bit of a makeshift studio, but it does the job, buddy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does the job.
The screen there is called a Ninja. It's basically. It's got hard drive in it, and it records straight to the back of that out of the camera. And we're also recording straight to the camera, so the video has actually got a backup there while we're recording, which is kind of cool. I love that, man.
So that's my 5D Mark III, guys, into the Ninja with an HDMI cable. There we go. Whew. And in my garage over here, and I'll come a little bit further back. Whoa, I just tripped over something.
Can you see the lights in that shot?
We can see the one light over there, Johnny. I'll move a little bit behind this.
So we've actually got
video camera, 2 lights,
2 big hot lights. Two big hot lights, and they're just set up with umbrellas and not a pretty cheap setup, really. Wasn't it, Brent? They're cheap, those lights.
Yeah, they've China.
From China.
Yeah. So I'll come back.
This is the desk we had made too, which is pretty pimping. Solid steel and glass.
Johnny's sitting down because of the broken ankle.
Yeah.
We got the heater down there, so we can.
And this thing, this is actually what we put our audio into, isn't it, buddy? You got that there? So this is a Zune H5, and you can see at the bottom here, there's 2 inputs for the lapel mics and an output that goes straight into that other device called the Ninja there. And basically what this does, this is recording internally, and it's also sending high-quality output audio straight to the camera.
Yeah,
so
all the way to the camera.
So it's really nice. So we're basically getting a backup of our audio as well. So. Which is really nice.
Up here into the side of the Ninja.
Yeah, so there you go. So that's our basic setup, guys. It's nothing flash, is it, butter?
No,
nothing flash,
it works
does
for us,
the job, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually got this background made too, this backdrop, the SIC Show backdrop. So here we go.
Pretty cool.
It's canvas print.
So that's it, man. A bit of behind the scenes, and you can see there's a bit of stuff going on, yeah? It's pretty crazy, man.
All right, awesome.
It's good, man.
Inspire.
All right, brother, inspire us with some of your images, man.
Yeah.
These actually, guys, before we get started, these ones are actually for a location that's really close to Brent's new studio and house. So this is why we're talking about them. Awesome, man.
Definitely. And we're also getting on the subject of portraits. So portraits in the environment over here. So this is an image of a bodyboarder. I don't know who it is exactly. Maybe he'll contact me once he sees it on the SIC Show. At my local beach, which is about, it's 9 minutes walk from where we are right now. So I've almost doubled my distance from the beach in the move. You know, we used to be about 4 minutes. Now we're 9 minutes from the beach.
Oh no!
Sucks.
I gotta say, guys, just as a tip, this beach is called Box Beach, and it's one of my all-time favorite bodyboarding beaches. I actually grew up surfing this beach. You know, my whole body. I just love it, man. Yeah, I just love it.
So this image I photographed 2 days ago. We had some big swells coming through here, and I wanted to get out and record it. So Box Beach, you can actually get really close to the surfers and the boogie boarders because it's like it's a shore break, so it's really close, and you can get in close. Actually, I photographed this on my 400mm lens, and actually I had to zoom back to 300 mils to actually fit
close.
I was too close. So it's one of the only times that I've ever photographed surfers where I was too close.
That's crazy, man. Yeah. It's insane.
So what I love about this image, like the sun came out, these guys are pulling into these barrels, and just getting wiped out. I mean, they pull into this barrel and they just get crunched on the shore break. It's amazing. Yeah, I love watching it.
Seriously, at the bottom of that wave, there's probably less than a foot of water there. It's right on the sand. I mean, if you look at the bottom of that image, there's actually sand getting pulled up there, and that just shows you how shallow it actually is.
Definitely. So a tip from this image, guys, is I photographed the bodyboarder right in the middle because I always use my middle point of focus. So the middle point on my camera is the best for focusing, especially for moving subjects. And then what I do is afterwards I crop the back half of it. So the left part of this image, I crop a little bit off so that I've actually got space for the bodyboarder to move into. Yeah. And that's going to lead us into the next thing, which is the 7 tips for, or 7 biggest mistakes I see people making when it comes to portrait photography and composition. Yeah,
for sure, man. That's actually a great tip, hey? You got to remember, DSLR cameras or even the new mirrorless ones, man, the files are so massive. You know, you got plenty of room to crop down into. And sometimes, even with my landscapes, you know, this is a little tip too, man, I'll shoot a bit wider. You know, if I'm just not sure about composition, I'll shoot a couple a little bit wider than I probably would have. You know, it's always great to get it right in camera, but if you're just a little unsure, you know, there's nothing wrong with shooting a little bit wider and cropping a little bit in post. I mean, it's all part of the creative process, mate.
And it's just making the composition more pleasing to the eye.
And not only that, it makes it a hell of a lot easier when you're photographing action like this too, man. Like you're shooting that little bit wider and you've got him in the dead center where your focus point is, man. It just makes it so much easier for you and your camera, mate.
Definitely. So, and you know what, guys, I'll share one more image. This one over here.
I love this.
And you know, I was photographing the surfers, and then I look a little bit to the left where there's no surfers and the waves smashing on the rocks. And I wanted to capture that with a dark background because it was kind of stormy, and occasionally the sun would go away and then would come back. And I just love that. What do they call that? The Rooster Tail.
So the wind is blowing offshore there. So the wind is blowing from the sand out to the ocean, and it's causing the salt spray off the back of the wave to be blown out. I love that, man. It looks awesome. Yeah. It actually adds a lot of mood to the image, you know? Like,
it does.
I think it's great.
Yeah, love it. So you can actually be photographing people and landscapes at the same time. Or people in landscapes.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, and that brings up another point too. Often with portraits, and you can certainly talk about this, mate. Often with portraits, we think about, you know, the close-up or the families, but man, it's good to shoot a little bit wider and shoot people in a location, environmental portrait. It just tells you so much more about what's going on.
The story tells the story better. I love environmental portraiture.
Yep. Yeah, it's great. It's often a genre when we talk about portraits that gets forgotten, I think. You know, shooting that bit wider. And the recent photo shoots that I've done for national parks, that we'll talk about it on an up-and-coming show, it's all about people in the landscape. So it's all about people, but seeing the wider landscape as well. I mean, that's a lot of the images they want to use, because obviously you're focusing, it's all about getting people out into a national park. So you want to see the beautiful national park, but the people in the national park.
And that brings up a lot of challenges too, because you may be shooting with a wide-angle lens, and when you're photographing people with a wide-angle lens, often people get a little bit wider than you want them to be.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not really appealing for people.
Honestly, that the whole time I was out there, because I was shooting a little wide, my 24 to 70, I wouldn't shoot any wider than 24. Like 24, it seems to be pretty good. You'd get a little bit of distortion as they get closer to the side of the frame, but man, nothing you can't fix, you know, easily with a bit of lens correction in Lightroom or something like that. But that seems to be what I've found is my go-to lens for shooting those environmental type portraits where you're shooting wider. I wouldn't want to go too much wider because the distortion just really starts to play. I mean, even at 24, if they're close and you shoot it vertical, you can see there. But I mean, that's sort of the max you want to go. That's what I found. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool, man.
Create.
What do we got next, mate?
Okay, so next, guys, I'm going to show you a little video that I recently created, and it's the 7 common mistakes when you're photographing portraits thinking about composition. You know, what are the 7 composition failures that people often make, and and they're pretty easy to fix. So here it is, guys. Enjoy. Hey guys, Brent here from BrentMailPhotography.com. And today we're going to look at the 7 things people do wrong when they are photographing portraits when it comes to composition and how they compose their images. So let's jump right into it. So we'll jump into the first error, the biggest problem I see people make when they're photographing portraits. All right, this is it. This is cutting off someone's head. So you notice the horizon goes right through my son Wesley's head, which isn't the best for when you're photographing portraits. And he's also right in the middle of the frame. Let's have a look at a better shot. So there we go. I've actually just bent down, bent my knees, got down lower. And now the horizon's not cutting his head off. So that's the first error I see a lot of people making. Here's another one. This is me and my family in San Francisco, and I asked a tourist to take a photo with my camera, and this is what they took. You notice the San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge growing out of Wesley's head? Not a good thing. So that's the second error I see a lot of people making. Objects growing out of people's heads, not a good thing to do. Here's one I took of the kids. Obviously they don't look too happy. It's just a snapshot, but you'll notice I haven't got anything growing out of their heads, and I've also got them below the horizon. So that's the second error I see a lot of people making. Here's the third one. This is my friend Dave surfing at 1 Mile Beach, one of our local beaches, and I was photographing with the Fuji X-E2 mirrorless camera, and can you guys guess what the problem is over here? He doesn't have enough space to ride into. See on the front of his board here? So all I did was I cropped this image, and I actually removed a few people. And now, because I've cropped in a little closer to the back, he's actually got a little bit of space to move into. That's a much better image than the one before. So give people space to move into, especially if they're moving or there's action. So this is one that I photographed in Vanuatu a couple of years ago, and you see this boy's got space to jump into. I've given him space in front of him. And here's another one of a surfer. This is probably a better crop than the one of my friend Dave, because he's got quite a bit of space to actually ride into. Then the next thing I see a lot of people error that a lot of people making when it comes to portrait photography and composition is when you've got someone looking, give them space to look into also. So Daniela over here, a local model, I gave her a little bit of space to look into. So I've given her negative space on the left here. And this is Lara, and she's also got space to look into. So there's a bit of space around her there to look into. So that's another thing that you can think about when you're photographing people. Do they have space to look into? And do they have space to ride or run or jump into? Another error, or this maybe not so much an error, but it's something that you can use to make more impactful portrait photos, is framing your subject. So here I framed this model with this doorway. I've got it framing so it actually draws your eye into the image a little bit. Here's another one, framing the model with flowers and foliage, so it actually draws your eye into the model, the part that's actually not blurred. Alright, so what's wrong with this image, guys? Can you guess? Well, how about we crop in? We get in really close. We show more of the image. So there I've cropped in to show the little girl's eyes, and we can crop in even more if you like. That's, I think, a more powerful image than the original image over there. So don't be scared to crop in, even if you're chopping part of the head off. Here's another one where I've cropped right in on a model, and I'm only showing a few parts of her face, her eyelashes and her lips and her nose. And I'm actually framing it with her hat there. So that's more impactful than if I had photographed a wider angle. Alright, so here's another image. And can you guess what I did over here, guys? I used the rule of thirds. So I've left a bunch of space on Joey's right over here. And I used the rule of thirds, which the rule of thirds is if you actually chop your image up into thirds from the top and from the sides, where the intersecting points intersect over here, those are the focal points, the most interesting points in your image. And I wanted it on Joey's face. So you'll see with the original image, that's more powerful because I've got space on the right here. He's in the area where I would naturally go, and it's just a more powerful image because of the rule of thirds. And then the final one was also the rule of thirds, but here's the original image that I photographed at Dance in my studio. And you can see the studio light and the top of the backdrop and the floor. So, I don't have much space to photograph in my studio, but she's right kind of almost in the middle of the image. And to make it more powerful, I used the rule of thirds again. I added negative space on the left here. I added a lot of negative space, so you can see the original image, and there's the image. that I used for the rule of thirds, and I actually put this into the Share, Inspire, Create Lounge, the community that Johnny and I started, because we've actually got a rule of thirds assignment right now in there, and all the other members are putting in images that revolve around using the rule of thirds. And that's a way more powerful image than the original. So there we go, guys. I've showed you quite a few ways of making your images better. Let's just run through them really quickly again. Okay, not chopping heads off. That's one. Not having things growing out of heads. That's another one. Leaving some space for people to travel into, especially if they are, surfing or doing some kind of action sport. Giving people space to look into. There we go. Framing your subjects. Cropping in, getting in really close to have a more impactful image. And using the rule of thirds for better composition. There we go, guys. Those are 7 tips for making your images so much more powerful when you're photographing portraits and you're composing them. What do you guys think? Please leave me comments below. This is Brent. Have an awesome day.
Okay, Brent, man, that was an awesome video, man. So much information there. Now, have you got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, we'll just run on the one that's kind of close to my heart, because I'll tell you guys a little story, but I'll first show you this image. This is my son Wesley, and I purposely cut his head off. Like, I basically have the horizon going right through his neckline.
Hey, I know where it is.
Yeah.
Is that the walk over to Mount Kosciuszko?
Yeah, it is.
Kosciuszko National Park?
Yeah.
From Threadboat? Yeah,
yes, it is.
Beautiful. Love
yeah,
that.
So like one of the tallest mountains in Australia.
The tallest mountain.
Oh, okay. There you go. All right. So the story behind this is I did a little work stint, I basically wanted to see if I would enjoy newspaper photography, being a photojournalist for a newspaper.
Mm.
And I got this job. It was unpaid, but basically work experience. And I almost got fired from an unpaid job because I did this. I photographed a portrait for the newspaper, and I cut someone's head off on the horizon. And I didn't even know that I was doing something wrong. And then when I got back, the editor come back and he said, "What are you thinking? How can you cut the neck? How can you cut the head off on the horizon?
Yeah.
You better go back and shoot that again." So I had to go back, find the people, call them up again, go back to the location, and re-photograph it, because all my images were cutting the necks off on the horizon.
Seriously, all it takes is just to get a lower perspective or a slightly higher perspective, and that the problem's fixed, isn't it, buddy?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's great, man. And it probably leads on to another thing too, is when you're cropping an image or when you're framing your image, you know where not to cut people off. So the rule of thumb is not at the joints, is it? So you don't want to cut people off the waist.
No, not on the elbows, not on the wrists, not in your ankle.
Yeah, and the images of me, they usually cut them right off here, so you can't see this.
They're actually better.
Yeah, that's the only time it's better.
There we go. Yeah, the bell.
Had to get the ding in.
Awesome, guys. So that's it. What do you think of my image of the surfer at Box Beach? And also, guys, leave us comments on what do you think of the behind-the-scenes look at the studio that I created in my garage. Do you want to know more about how we film these SIC shows? Because we can do a whole SIC show on how we make a SIC show.
Yeah. A SIC show about the SIC show. Love it, man.
But you got to leave comments below, because we want to know.
Oh, it's a long ring, isn't it?
I've really
got to.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, sorry. Been another fun show, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. And a little sneak peek behind the scenes, man. It's you can realise what I've got to work with here. It's tough, man. It's tough. It's tough conditions, man.
You know what? You do the best you can with what you got,
you
guys.
Can, man.
And you know what? I bet you everyone's got half a garage out there that they can use, and I'm only using half this garage. So there we go.
Man. Perfect. No, it works fine. It works great, man. And the audio's fine. We've got these panels around to stop the reverb, and yeah, man, awesome. And those photos you showed were wicked, and I just love that video. So many great tips for taking portraits.
Yeah.
Really common mistakes that, especially when you're starting out, you don't know. You don't know these things, man. So awesome, man. Thanks for sharing.
No worries, guys, and we'll catch you next week.
See you next week.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
To find out more, go to shareinspirecreate.com.
Okay. Man, it's cold.
It is.
Okay.
All right, let's go. No.
Okay, let's do it.
Stop the bell!
No, I'm joking.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go.